Hey everyone, welcome to How She Plays, a podcast dedicated to the coverage of women's sports. I'm Katie King, and today we're talking all things Pitt women's basketball. Was there any particular message from you and then the other leaders on this team to sort of, rally around each other and come back strong for the spring?
Our kind of main focuses for this entire kind of split season have been just gratitude and adaptability, really. Just being grateful that we are in the gym, that we are able to play, because a lot of teams got shut down, weren't able to play certain games. So just being grateful for every moment that we have with each other was really important.
Your first year, you were part of the first Pitt team to win an ACC championship. And then from there on, your sophomore and junior seasons won back-to-back ACC titles again. So a lot of success for you and your team right off the bat. Was that kind of a surprise for you? And how did you and your team handle kind of that expectation in the ACC?
It was and wasn't a surprise. I knew that the program was climbing and slowly getting better. That was one of the reasons I wanted to come here. But obviously you never kind of anticipate things like this. You hope and you just work hard and you kind of grind. But you never really anticipate achieving huge things like this. So that was really exciting.
You come from an athletic family. Your dad was drafted by the Boston Bruins. A lot of hockey going on. Was that ever, a consideration for you, or was it always soccer?
I think that my dad probably wanted me to play hockey. I know that before I started playing soccer, we were not a soccer family at all. So I kind of am the first one out of my family.
You came off and you were really successful right away. How did it feel stepping onto the pitch with your teammates, being there all together and having that opportunity to play? Because it wasn't always certain that you were going to have a season.
Yeah, we didn't know when our first game was going to be or who we were playing up until a couple weeks before our game, which usually we have our schedule a year in advance. So I guess the uncertainty of it was difficult.
This podcast was really developed to bring awareness to, women's sports and share the stories of female athletes like yourself. Is there any advice that you might have for a younger soccer player or an athlete who wants to play at a high level like you are someday?
Advice I think I would give to young athletes and female athletes is to just play your game and don't let anyone tell you that you can't, kind of thing, just because you are a girl.
What has your message been to these players since you've gotten here in trying to rebuild this program and instill that confidence every single day?
Yeah, no, and it has been. It's a process, and and that's what we talk about every day with our team is that you have to trust that process. And we're trying to get better every day.
Kind of going back a little bit, you grew up in Pittsburgh, a lot of really great sports teams. How much impact did that have on your passion for sports and wanting to pursue that professionally?
I think it had a really big impact that I didn't realize until I was older. My dad is a big Pittsburgh fan.
You moved from the media relations to the video production. How much of that was sort of you having to advocate for yourself and pitch these ideas, especially now with Pitt Studios and ACC Network? How much growth have you seen already?
A lot of growth. Pitt has done so many, Pitt continues to grow every day, and they've let me grow along with it. I've had a lot of great mentors and help along the way.
Transitioning to a new team, obviously we are in COVID still. That all happened last year when you were in the middle of your softball season. What was going through your mind when you got the news that your season was going to be canceled, especially for you because this was your first year competing with your team and competing in the ACC?
Right. Yeah. When I first got here, I was a bit nervous because I was like, man, all these people are probably going to size me up. I'm a transfer. And they were very welcoming.
Yeah, it's nice that you guys have all those resources to sort of get to know the team so much before you even play them. I've got one last question for you. So this podcast was really developed to bring awareness to female athletes and share their stories. And I was wondering if you had, any piece of advice for, younger softball players or younger athletes looking to compete at a high level someday.
If I had to give advice to any younger athletes, it would be if opportunities aren't presented to you, take the initiative to make your own opportunities.
And you talk about valuing the success together and coming out of your experiences at JMU. You won a national championship in 2018. So how much of that are you pulling to try and bring that success as a unit?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that I learned when I was at JMU was how important culture was.
In talking about building that culture, I know I've been seeing some stuff. You had the Panther Pack tournament doing crab walks and building scarecrows, and then the Halloween costume competition last week at practice. So how important is it to you to kind of incorporate those fun things to try and build that culture among the team?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two reasons we do that. One, it creates a really good competition, and we're not playing games this year, so when we put them in like high intensity competition type things, we see their game personalities come out, right?
Jayla, I wanted to talk about her because she has had an amazing start to the season, and you guys are really solid backcourt duo in the ACC. What has it been like for you having her as your sidekick on the court and you guys working off of each other and knowing what she can do with the basketball?
I think it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. That's what I have for it. She knows how to handle it, man. And she's coming in teaching me things that I like, the moves she make or like how she creates, teaching me some things. I could probably teach her some things.
You had a couple different internships, through College Intern at Pocono Raceway and then Gamecock Live Productions, which you talked about. And then now you're at the ACC Network through Pitt Studios. Do you mind sharing a little bit about working in different sports and what that's been like and having different experiences and how that's sort of shaped where you are right now?
Working in different sports is really cool. I think it's what we do is difficult. And I've talked to some people about that recently, actually. They're like, I can't believe that you guys produce so many different sports, because not that I would say we are by no means professionals or super duper knowledgeable about every single sport that we cover. We try to be as knowledgeable as possible.
Talk about that bond with Katie and going through, the rehab process last year. Fast forwarding to this year and this season, January 15th was your first meet back since 2018. And you and Katie tied for co-champions on even bars with the 9.875. What was that like for you and having Katie do so well and just that feeling of competing again?
I don't really know how to describe that feeling of competing again, just because it was something like I didn't have for so long that when I got it back, it was like this crazy thing that happened, like I that adrenaline rush and everything, that it felt so great.
Thanks for listening to this episode of How She Plays. To hear more, head to WPTSradio.org.